Really great point, and I also want to connect that to two things that you both said. This idea of like going on an online space and seeing someone be like, I'm looking for a hot top, disease-free. Like this idea of being disease-free reminds me of a point you made about seeing, being HIV positive as something that's not disease, but something that can be normalized. And I think that connects back to Alex's initial point about what does it mean that AIDS has become so normalized that we don't talk about it anymore. And I think we're caught in a trap. Like if we think about disability studies and what normalcy is, it's this idea that different groups who face marginalization are always fighting to not see themselves as disabled. So women were thought of as having a disability that shouldn't work, and instead of saying, it's okay to be disabled, we should work anyway, women were like, we're not disabled as a group, therefore we should be allowed to work. The same is true of people of color who've had to fight in order to have rights. The same is true of gay people who said, take us out of the DSMB, we're, stop pathology us, we're just normal. And then we take AIDS, which is an illness, and what if we say, being HIV positive is something we just need to look at as normal? And I think that, along discourses of being gay is just normal, why can't we just get married and join the military and all this? We're really getting caught in a trap. Because in saying, just see being HIV positive is something that's normal, and to naturalize it, A, it leads to this undetectable problem, I'm not talking about it, but B, it also says that if you have a disability that still falls into the category of abnormal, or you have an identity like being trans, which is still being medicalized, where does it leave people who can never access normalcy for reasons that are really basic, like dealing with poverty, not having access to healthcare, not having status, not living here. And so I think that we need to talk about this in a way where we can get rid of stigma so that people who are positive don't have to be criminalized and thrown in prison for having sex. But at the same time, whether we're trying to normalize this might just take it under the radar in ways where the prejudice is still there, but we don't have the same voice to say, yeah, we're queer, we're fucked up, we're not normal, and that's good. It's not bad, it's diversity of humans and desires.
Greg Horowitz once said that when you become HIV positive, the discourse around HIV stops talking about you. It's always about the negative. It's always about how do we keep the negative people negative? How can we educate them to stay negative? Once you're positive, you're already gone. You're already gone to the other side. So it's about how do we cordon you off from the others? And coming from a place to normalize HIV positive people, they're always going to have the implicit risk of, painting HIV positive as a statement, which is such a terrible place to be. And so there's always that divide. Frankly, I think we've come to a point in terms of biomedical evidence and all these things that you can be on a treatment plan and have protected sex and chance of spreading it or infinitesimal. So we really need to start talking about HIV positive people and not into our minds that we have to scare these kids or we have to alienate them from understanding HIV. So we come to a point to actually start normalizing HIV. And what normalizing HIV means is eradicating the notion of risk. Really looking at the statistics and saying there is an infinitesimal chance that this person, even if I'm sexually active in the next 10 years, will infect me with the virus. And the work that needs to be done as happened is radical, is revolutionary. And I think that more than anything is what we should do. Yes, to always answer their concerns, but this is something that can save lives. Let me tell you, I just moved to Chicago, and you meet people around. So I know people that are fairly promiscuous sexually, and they'll pretty much have unprotected sex with someone as long as the question of HIV doesn't come up. It says nay in their manhood profile or something. Or we can talk about the vibe and manhood. But if they say they're positive, they won't sleep with that. But the thing is, if you have a positive person who's undetectable, and say a person who's sexually active doesn't know their status, but has lots of unprotected sex, even given that they might not be positive, the chances of giving it the positive person are so much less than the negative person, because the negative person is not on medication, so the viral load person is high. So because of unfair connotations of what positive and negative means, these men are risking their lives. So we really need to stop polarizing these two poles and understand the risk that is necessary in this age. That's hard to do. That is a lot of work.
It's exactly what professors know how to do. It is. It's that's like our degrees are in breaking binaries. PhD in binary breakage. Seriously, what else can you do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something we could do.
Hopefully that's what I'll do. And well, I'll talk about my new project or whatever.
Talk about your new project.
Well, there's a lot of work on the internet right now. And something that's very powerful for me to me. I was always a film scholar, and I'm not very good technically. I can't really tie my shoes well, so I don't make a film. But I moved to Iowa, and I felt so powerfully about this. I'm like, I'm going to fucking make a film, I made a film. And one thing I noticed about a very powerful experience when you test positive is what did other people go through when they went through that process. And I look online, and there's a lot about, positive, like, oh, you're not going to die, it's okay, you take pills, it's that bad, blah, blah, blah. But we know that. I knew that now when I tested positive for people I talk to. It's like, oh, my boyfriend's going to dump me, oh, no one's going to love me, my girlfriend's going to leave me. They're worried about love. They're worried about the relationships with others. This is what we're trying to worry about. Once you become positive, then that goes up. So I want to start a website called Love to Examine the Test. Just with positive and negative couples speaking individually about what it's like to be a positive person in a serious relationship, and that, talking about hopefully, ultimately, message negatively, and dealing with anxiety, spreading that. Just something very simple and straightforward. So, you have that as a utility if you're testing positive or the life something like that.
We're about to phase into the video making part of our sideshow. Give me 5 minutes. Would anyone like to speak as members of SCMS about your perception of our role as a discipline, what it means, what the silencing means to you, anything that's sort of SCMS specific as a group, because it is one of the issues on our flyer, and I'd love to hear if other people have ideas about why our panel wasn't selected. I mean, politically, I don't mean personally, what it means for SCMS not to know who Greg Bordowitz is, who is a local and internationally renowned artist. What SCMS, what it means not to know who Tom Law is, Vishnu Ghosh, or not to acknowledge their work. It really was perplexing to us, and a lot of smart people in the room. It also is really painful to not have that work acknowledged, particularly my honored colleagues who couldn't be here because our panel was affected. So, any thoughts you have on that? I'd love to hear us talk about that together for a minute. Selfishly, not about my pain, but about what it means for us as an institution, as discipline, as colleagues.
Thank you so much for holding this. And but one of the things I think in the present moment would be really important to talk about is what's intersectional justice, property, racial equality. And within SCMS, one of the things we've been talking about this conference is trying to strengthen the coordinating committee of the caucuses, which is trying to network and connect the work that different caucuses are doing, and sort of get a more powerful sort of intersectional conversation happening among those groups. And so I think that within SCMS, having more of a collective voice as the caucuses and talking across caucuses about issues that are important to us within media studies and within the world could be a really important kind of direction.